Hello everyone, Fanta here, and you are watching FantaVision. Today I'm discussing the leaked possibility of a Google console. What it is, what that could mean for gaming as a whole, and really what it could be when it comes out. So far, what we know is that it is going to be a streaming-based console. And they've been discussing this with several game developers to see if they're interested, see if this is something they want to develop for. And I guess they actually were going to buy Twitch, but Amazon beat them to it. So what does that mean? What does all of this mean, that they want it to be a streaming platform? Because that's all really what we know so far, is that they've been talking about making a streaming console. And I don't know, I like you guys know, I enjoy physical media. I enjoy buying my games online or at the store, and I like having a disc. I complained about the lack of manuals these days. I've complained about a bunch of stuff that has to do with games being opened before they're sold and being still called new. And I mean, I've discussed all the different physical aspects of video games. What does it mean if they go full streaming? Because something that a lot of these console manufacturers and companies have been trying to move towards is more online, digital streaming, stuff like that, because it does cost them less. I mean, they don't have to print any cover art, they don't have to print a disc, they don't have to put a manual in sometimes, they don't have to package it, sell it, ship it. There's so many things that cut out of the equation to make it digital and streaming it. But my problem has always been that they don't pass that savings along to the customer. And that's why I've always been against it. Plus, games are such a different media to me, unlike movies or music. I don't know, it was just always been different to me. It's always been a physical disc. It's always been this thing that I own. Sorry about, it sounds like I'm in a war zone. It's July 4th, so that's when I'm recording this. I picked the nighttime of July 4th like an idiot to record a video, but we'll move on. Just pretend I'm living in some war-torn country, and this is what I have to deal with. What does this mean? Do we think Google could even make a dent on what gaming is today? Because there's been so many different other companies, including Apple, that have either thought of or tried to make a gaming console. And I feel like a streaming-only system is just never gonna be the big thing. At least not while there's so many other options for physical media. And unless they give you a deep discount on those games, unless they give you a really cheap monthly plan, which is probably what they'd rather do, there's not going to be a draw. And if they do give a cheap monthly plan, I would be worried about them jacking up the prices in the future or changing what the price is of that monthly fee. I mean, that's what Netflix has been doing. Netflix has been raising the prices, adding new asterisks to their service. Like, you have to pay extra now for the 4K when before it was included. So I don't know. I don't like the idea of a streaming-only console. And I know everybody that loves digital, people that love the convenience of it, I get that. I love the convenience of the few digital games that I have on my consoles. It's great. But I'm also not super-duper lazy that I can't just get up, open a case, and pop a game in. I know a lot of people say they don't care about the value of the game after launch, but I do. Because a lot of these games, you realize, well, I'm not going to play this ever again. You can trade it in or sell it on eBay, and you get some of that money back. Some of these games will go up in value. It's a very rare thing to happen, but sometimes it does. Nintendo games hold their value. So if you buy a digital Nintendo game, you're completely screwing yourself, because those games hold their value so much. Melee is at what, like $70, $80 right now? It's ridiculous. So I enjoy physical media, and I can't see myself buying one of these things unless it is super duper cheap. The system is cheap, and the service is cheap, because, you know, I guess we already are kind of paying a service for these systems. I mean, $50, $60 a year, or $40 if you get it on eBay like I do. But that adds up. I mean, I'm spending what, like $80, $90 a year just to play these systems online? It's very frustrating. Whereas my PC, I thankfully only have to pay the internet bill. It's just, I don't know. And even Nintendo's jumping in with the $20. So I guess if Google came out with a system that was streaming only at a decent price, And I don't know what would be a decent price to me. It really depends on what games it has on it, what its capabilities are. Is it even close to my computer? Does it run better than a PS4 or Xbox One? Is it like an Xbox One X but cheaper? I don't know. They really have to do something amazing in order to sell me personally on the system. I don't know what you guys would want in that kind of system. Comment that down below. But it just seems strange to me to have a subscription service for, like, the only option is a subscription service for your games. Because once you stop paying that, you just can't play it anymore. And that's the reason I don't play World of Warcraft anymore. Is because I don't like the feeling of, well, I've spent all this time, but what if I randomly want to jump in and just play for a little bit? You can't do it. You have to go all back in, spend that $15, and then during that month, you're like, I got to get my money's worth. I'm not playing the game. I'm losing out on what I'm paying for. And I feel like I'd be the same way with a streaming-only based console. I mean, Xbox has that Game Pass, which is not a bad deal. $10 a month for a freaking shit ton of games. I mean, it's like 100+ games, and all the Xbox company-owned games, all the first-party games, all the console-exclusive games, they're going to be on that Game Pass day one. And that was on sale for 6 months for $30. So I picked up a couple of those just because I knew that I'd want to play the new Forza game. I know I would want to play the new Crackdown game. And I want to try some of these games before I buy them because I don't want to get burnt on games anymore. I bought not Sea of Thieves. I didn't buy Sea of Thieves. I was already worried about that, so I got the Game Pass. I got burnt on State of Decay 2. It wasn't that great of a game to me. Like, first day, it was painfully boring. The graphics were not good at all. Usually I don't really care about graphics, but they were just like gross to look at. Like, the game felt blurry and fuzzy, and the anti-aliasing was awful. And it looked like an early gen Xbox 360 game, and there are glitches out the ass. And I know they've patched it by now, but that's unacceptable for a game to come out and be like that, because that first impression sticks with you for so long. And I know I'm going on a completely different tangent, but that's why I think the Xbox Game Pass is great. It's because you're right. It is a game subscription service, but the Xbox isn't only that. If Xbox only had the Game Pass, I don't know if I'd have it. Because again, it'd be the World of Warcraft situation for me. If you're not playing it enough, you don't feel like it's worth it. But if it's cheap enough, like Gold Online, I mean, it shouldn't exist to begin with, but it's the only example I've got. $40 a month, or $40 a year to play online with my Xbox One. I know that's worth it because I'm going to play it enough throughout the year for $40 to be worth it to play online. Again, don't think it should exist, but I don't have that choice. I'm just saying, if the Game Pass or the Google subscription service was only $40 a year or $60 a year, and you could play every game that came out on it, I think that'd be worth it. I think that might sell me on the system. And I know I just went on a long tangent about how I don't think they'd be able to, but I don't think they'd be able to hit that cheap of a subscription service. I don't see it happening. I don't know how game developers would make their money back with them getting only $60 a year. To me, that doesn't sound like enough money. With Game Pass, I wonder the same thing, like Xbox Game Pass. We'll have to see as that progresses further, as they keep putting games day one on that service, and see if they're losing money on that. Because it sounds like they wouldn't be making the money back for those games. I mean, they'd be depending on the people that just set it and forget it. People not like me that wait for it to go dirt cheap, half off at Best Buy, and then buy a bunch of them. I don't know. It's an interesting prospect with a bunch of games that are usually $60 a pop day one, going up on a service that is $120 a year or $60 if you got it on sale. I just don't see it. Maybe it's fine for Microsoft because they're the ones that own those companies, but Google's not going to own these developers. They're going to be independent developers, or they're going to be, maybe they'll get some developers, maybe they'll buy some, but I just don't see how a service that would be cheap enough to attract a wide audience could work. But a lot of people in technology, whenever you're predicting the technology, you're going to look like an idiot. Whenever you're trying to see what the future is going to look like with stuff, you're going to look like an idiot. And I know I'm going to when I'm saying, oh, an all digital future is just stupid. But I'm going to look like an idiot in a few years. I'm sure I am. But I don't want it to be an all digital future. That's why I'm saying that. I don't know. I mean, everyone can make the argument, hey, PC is completely digital. And you're right, it is. But PC games are so much cheaper than console games if you wait just a little bit. Steam sales are just so infamous by now. Everybody knows what a Steam sale is. Everybody knows about a giant backlog of games in their Steam account. Everybody knows about my horrible backlog of games in general. And that's because just how cheap they get. And then Humble Bundle. Like Humble Bundle mixed with Twitch Prime, mixed with Bundle, monthly bundle. I mean, you're getting so many games for so cheap. I almost don't buy games anymore. In fact, I didn't buy any games during this last Steam sale, except for a couple of these golf games that I wanted viewers to hop in and play with me. So, I don't know. I just don't see how a console can be digital only. I don't know of any in the past that have found any success at all. OnLive, which is a service that does not exist anymore, tried to come out with an OnLive console where you could stream games, and that's exactly what they're trying to do here. That's the thing is, though, is they're trying to stream games, not just make them digital. It's not just a subscription service. I should have clarified that. They're trying to make these games streamed to you. And I know Capcom did Resident Evil 7 for like the Switch streamed, and I've heard horrible things about that. OnLive died. There's so many things that have tried streaming games and they just don't work. Because especially now in this environment of internet, this no net neutrality, this corporate greed, monopoly environment we have here. And what I mean by that is, at least here, I don't know about other places, but I know most places have lines drawn in the sand where you either have one company or you don't have anything. And it sucks. Like, I could have Comcast or CenturyLink, and you're like, well, Fanta, you have another option. Why don't you just use the other option? Stop bitching about Comcast all the time. Get your other option. The other option is less than a megabyte per second. It's like kilobytes. It's like dial-up. So CenturyLink is the other the other company I can get here, which is bullshit because the CenturyLink office is right down the damn street. So even though their office is down the street, right here is less than a megabyte. And it's not even a megabyte, it's a megabit per second, which is a different form of measurement for internet. A megabyte per second is more than a megabit. Look up, I'm not going to explain the difference. You can look up the conversion rate. But the point being is it's not acceptable. I cannot get CenturyLink, even though they have unlimited and then all these different things and they're cheaper, but they're shit. In other places here in Tucson, you can get amazing CenturyLink, but right here it's crap. So I don't have a choice. It's either Comcast or I go to Starbucks and I steal their Wi-Fi. That's my only option. And that's not how it should be. I should be able to get Comcast. I should be able to get Cox. I should be able to get Verizon. I should be able to get Google. I should have 4 or 5 different competitors in my area that I should be able to choose from, but instead I don't. Instead I have a fucking data cap. And I know a terabyte sounds like a lot of data for a lot of people, but guess what? If you're a gamer like I am, terabyte doesn't mean shit. I mean, whenever I decide I want to play Grand Theft Auto, it's like 40 gigabytes of updates that I have to do. Doom for the PC is like a 60 to 80 gigabyte game. It's ridiculous. There's so many games that are so big these days, and they keep growing, and there's updates all the fucking time. Your systems are always updating. You're using so much bandwidth that you have to like ration it out as if it were water. We're not a third world country. Why does this exist? This is a completely different argument. But at the same time, it has exactly why I don't think a streaming console could survive right now. Because there's too many people that are like me, have a limited amount of bandwidth they can use with a fucking awful company like Comcast, and they would not be able to feasibly play video games if streaming were the only option. I rarely use Netflix and everything else because I'm constantly using my bandwidth on updating games, streaming to you guys, and uploading videos. So I don't have too much bandwidth to play around with, so I watch the occasional Netflix show, but I usually stick to YouTube because YouTube uses up less bandwidth. I used to, at my old house, only have 300 gigabytes. I had 300 gigabytes for my data cap before they started charging $15 fucking for each. I think it was like 50 gigabytes after that. So if you're stuck on a horrible internet plan like I am, and a lot of Americans are, a lot of Europeans are, I believe, as well. I believe Canada, I had a Canadian viewer tell me about his data connection and how small his internet cap was. This is not just a localized thing. There's a lot of companies that are pulling this bullshit. They shouldn't exist. It's been proven that data and bandwidth is so cheap that they should not be charging as much as they do, and that unlimited should be a thing, but they're going to keep doing it anyway as long as they can. So with these restrictive internet companies we have right now, streaming consoles cannot exist. Digital only will not exist. I have to buy physical, not only because I love having a physical copy of the game. I like knowing that there's some value in my investment that I can get back if I need it. And I know people say, hey, it's easy to borrow a game from a friend. You just change your account. You put their account on your system. You make their account your home system. That's just so much work. I'd love to just give my friend a copy of my game. Here you go. You can try it out. Give it back to me when you're done with it. That's it. I don't want to have to do all that account bullshit. So much easier just to hand somebody a box. To me, at least. Maybe to you, it's easier to do the digital thing. That's fine. And a lot of you guys only buy digital, so you both have giant digital libraries. I don't know how it works if you want to play the same game at the same time. I'm sure that works as well. But in this environment where you have a limited amount of bandwidth, streaming, digital, all of that kind of stuff is not possible. Especially with the speeds. That's another issue. Is that if you're trying to make a system stream a game, you have to have killer internet. Amazing internet. And if you don't have the right speed, it's going to be laggy. You're going to have input lag. You're going to have so many different issues. It's not going to render correctly. It's going to be a fuzzy image. I had those problems with OnLive. And I have pretty good internet. Even back then when OnLive was still existing, I had pretty good internet for people around me. But it still wasn't good enough. So I don't see a Google console working unless they go back to their project of putting Google Fiber in as many cities as possible. When Google was moving that fiber thing along, I was so happy. I could not wait for competition to come to town, but it never happened because of just how many legal speed bumps and companies stopping them as much as they could. Just so much bullshit. So unless Google decides that all of a sudden every person that buys this system is also going to get some crazy Google Wi-Fi from some satellite or something, or they're going to start putting up towers everywhere, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So that's what the Google console is. And like I said, that's how successful I think it will be. I don't think it will be able to catch on, mainstream at least, because of just how it's just not possible with this current internet infrastructure. If they somehow change the infrastructure, maybe, but it's just not possible right now with the way things are. In the future, streaming games would be amazing. It could be incredible. And right now, it's just not possible at all. For most people. Some people are like, hell yeah, I'd love a streaming system. And I understand that, that'd be cool. Be able to just pay a flat fee and just play everything that comes out. More people playing more games, that's great. That's why I did day one buy and all those deals videos in the past, because I was trying to get people to get games while they're cheap and take advantage of those sales and stuff like that. So, those are my thoughts on the Google console. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like. It'll be interesting to see what the controller looks like. That's a big important thing to me, is the controller. That's important for a lot of people. It'll be interesting to see how they integrate a friends list, how they do, if they do achievements, if they do cloud save. Well, they're going to do cloud saves because it's a cloud-based system. But at the same time, you got to remember how Google runs things. And Google has enough money to easily buy up a couple developers, but I don't trust them to maintain the servers for this system in an adequate way. Look at YouTube. Okay? If Google treats their developers or they treat their customers the way they treat the people that create content for YouTube, it's going to be disastrous. They need to show us that they can manage something before coming out with a streaming-based console, because there's so many things that can go wrong with streaming. And if they have as many things go wrong with YouTube as they do with this system, it's going to be a complete failure. It's going to be a train wreck. And I don't know. We'll have to see. Not going to make too many predictions about it. I'm just going to state things as I see them, how they are right now, which is just not possible right now. Just not possible for it to succeed. Thanks for watching, everyone. Comment down below what you guys think of the new Google system that could be coming out. Once again, it is just rumors. So we'll see what it's like when it comes out. I'm excited. I'm always excited for new technology. I know this is a very negative sounding video, but I'm always excited for new technology. I'm excited to see what it can do, what it's going to bring to the table, and competition is always a good thing. So I'm hoping that the system does come out, and I hope it starts to do well. And then maybe if it starts doing well and it starts generating revenue, they'll go back to making the internet across the nation. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, have a fantastic day. See ya.